ages, man has battled, bled, conquered, and evolved. Pioneers blazing new trails for themselves, and for all that came after. They are fathers, brothers, sons, husbands, mentors, and students. A gentleman and a warrior. And now we see a new frontier, a great awakening, where mind, body, and spirit become one. This is the Chronicles of Man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. This is Chris with the Chronicles of Man, and this is going to be a one-on-one with Christian Perez. What's up, bud? How you doing?
How's it going? I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good. I just going to try a different format. We're going to do a little bit more deep diving, and actually, I saw you yesterday just kind of running around the neighborhood. Kind of a weird little situation how that developed, but we said let's sit down today and talk and let's chat. You are family, right? So I always want to make sure that I know what you're doing. From afar, I've been kind of keeping contact, seeing what you're doing, just through social media and whatnot, and you've done well for yourself. I'm very proud.
Thank you.
So let me give you the opportunity to kind of tell me what you've been up to, what you're doing, kind of give me a little bit of a snapshot of where you're at right now.
Yeah, I have been going back to the roots. I make music, and for a while it didn't feel like that. I forgot that. It felt like I was making a living, and that's never fun. You're right. The reason we get into any creative business is so that we can do it and also make money while doing it.
Right.
Keyword, also make money. Not make money and also make music. So, but those roles get switched. So lately I've been going back to what it originally was. And I remember it was actually last night. I've just been trying to get back in touch with the reason I love it. And I was sitting there and I was just kind of like out of it, kind of tired, like too tired to really give a lot of energy.
Right.
And I heard a sample, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And I asked myself, I was like, what would sound cool with that? And I was like, oh, well, this would sound. Fast forward an hour later, it's amazing. That's why I'll probably put it out. And I was like, wow. And the thought that invoked that was, what would sound cool? And it was a question I haven't asked myself in a while. And so it was really refreshing, where it was like, these things that bring us back. So I'm just kind of going back to what it was.
Do you kind of
that's what I've been doing.
Hit that on the idea that you've got the end in mind, and sometimes your end in mind is more about a producer and what he wants than what you want?
Oh, 100%. Like in music, in the industry, when you're working as a musician, it's not about what you want.
Right.
It's either about what your audience wants, or it's about whoever's commissioning you. Right? So whoever's
Doesn't that
hiring.
ruin the industry over time?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because they don't know what good is or sounds like. They just know what sells.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, do you think society knows what even they want? They just know that it's conforming to what people like, and kind of ruins music and its creativity?
Humans, all humans, until we're aware of it, all humans are sheep. And we follow. We follow, and we're obedient, and we're done what we're told. And then one day we wake up and go, no, I really like thrash metal. And so then you just start really liking that. And one day you wake up and you go, no, I really like slow music. And that's okay. And, but, build it and they will come. You'll find people that are into the things you're into. But we're ruined as entertainment culture. Like, I just watched the Elvis movie. And I think, what was your
takeaway, first of all?
My takeaway from it, look, everybody knows that there's scummy people out there in any industry, not just music, every single industry. There's snakes in every grass. But my biggest takeaway from it, and this is when I was thinking about this specific question, is that as soon as we hit the 80s, it was no longer about music. Because at least Elvis believed it was about music. And, his manager was making him believe, it's about the music.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit. Because I feel that the 80s decade, for me, was one of the best decades for music, right?
Oh, yeah, there was good music.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but, it still got airplay. Like, Depeche Mode, New Order.
100%.
What was the other
crazy.
one that, if you look at how they wrote their music, and even anything Box, for example.
Yeah.
Like Anything Box did not write their music thinking about a producer. They wrote their music, and if you look back at it, I mean, I was teenager. It sounds kind of feminine, but the way it was written was well composed, had a storyline, and most of the music today, there's no story. It's just melodies. They throw in some lyrics on top, and it's like, it doesn't take me anywhere.
Exactly.
If I don't go anywhere emotionally in that song, there's no reason for me to remember it. Does that make sense?
No, of course.
And to this day, there's songs that they stick in your head forever because of the story behind it. And it makes you think about your life situation, maybe when you're younger or whatnot, but it takes you somewhere. And so people that are just working for the industry end up writing bullshit, I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't have value, doesn't have substance, it's just flat.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's your takeaway.
it's their job. You know? I mean, and a job is just above broke. That's what it is. So that's what they're maintaining. And that's understandable. They're doing what they were paid to do. And that's okay. But when we're talking about artistry, that's a whole different conversation. If you're saying, I am in the music business, I make music for a living, wonderful. I would assume it's pop music, right? But if you're saying, oh, I'm an artist, those are two different things. But you know, we make the assumption as people that they're the same, because for years it's been that way. You know, I'm a musician, I do it professionally, therefore I'm a musician, an artist in the music industry.
Right.
Those aren't the same anymore. I know artists that are brilliant with damn near to no listeners, but they should have listeners. But real quick, what I was saying about the 80s though, that was a really big period when the artists started to really understand how valuable the consumer was. There was still art, there was a lot of art everywhere and it was broadcasted, but they started understanding, and I think that was when, in my opinion, I think that's when there was that transition. And then the 90s hit,
90s
and the 2000s, 90s fucking sucked, and it just starts changing. And till now, where it's all we think about as a consumer.
I don't listen to the radio anymore.
Yeah,
It's always like just YouTube music for me.
I haven't
just
heard
pick
the
what I wanna hear.
radio. As soon as we get in the car, connect my phone, start playing my music.
Yeah.
Not my music, but you know, the music I like to listen to.
Well, I hear what you're saying. And so when I put on the regular, and that goes with everything mainstream, TV, radio, even social media lately for me, it just bugs the shit out of me. It irritates my soul. And I think it's something to do with the way they've recorded or produced it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's plastic and it's cheesy, and there's really it for those who are thinkers and who want to just keep on thinking visionary type thoughts, that music takes you the opposite direction. It's like, how do I dumb myself down to be just another bumbling idiot?
Exactly.
You know, so I feel like we need to have more conscious artists who are thinking about what they're doing and have an intention and a purpose to better society, to improve our outlook on where we're going to go. Because you look around now, I think shit went sideways. I mean, like, people are just divided. They're angry. They're hating on people for no freaking reason. And I feel like a lot of it's got to do with the programming that's been put into all media, whether it be radio, audio, video. So one thing that I think that was different about you, right? Let's talk about the background. You're still fucking young for accomplishing so much at such a young age. Talk about your educational background and how that may be different than just the norm and how they approach education.
Yeah, well, I was homeschooled my whole life, and so it was very different, and I didn't know how different it was until I was with Nico. I was with my cousin at the time, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go?" Because he went to school in Marshall, and he's like, "You want to go?"
Sure, I went, by the way. Woo.
Yeah, and my mom went too. Yeah, everybody went to Marshall, right? Pretty much, right? So he was like, "You want to go with me? I got to go drop a lens off." And they have like a little like video department there, like a little video class.
Take
there.
that same class.
Really? And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's go." We walked in, and he's like, "Oh, well, he's like, gotta be quiet." He's like, "People are still in school right now." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So we're walking, and we went to the class, and they were just all enjoying each other, like showing stuff, like, "Oh, this is really cool." And it wasn't until I started having conversations with the people, the kids there, that I was like, that's weird, it's odd. Like I remember like talking to one of the kids. I was like, "Oh, like You know, like, like what? It's cool that you're in like a photography class. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I just do this so that I don't have to go home. And I'm like, you don't want to do photography? He's like, nah, not really. And then I had brought it up when me and Nico got in the car. I was like, hey, like, I was talking to this kid. He didn't even want to be there. He's like, oh yeah, most of those kids don't want to be there. And I was like, why are they there? And he's like, that's just how school is. I was like, but why? Like, growing up learning, it was so much fun. Because when you're not forced to do something, you want to do it. The same thing with music. Like, I find when I'm not forcing myself to do music, I want to do it, you know?
There's no deadlines.
There's no deadline. There's no deadlines, but that's the funny part. You get stuff done faster.
Yeah.
But for education, yeah, I was homeschooled my whole life, and I don't regret it. I loved it because it's a lot of internal dialogue. You're thinking a lot by yourself, for yourself.
You know, that's a good point. Internal dialogue, I think, especially at a young age, allows you to have space to kind of see what you have vibe for. And when you're in again, look, think about how, and now that you're an adult for the most part, but a lot of adults, when they jump from high school to college, you're still in that rat race. You still got the schedule, still got the hours, and then you graduate, right? And then the whole vision is, okay, well, we get a good job. And that's the whole 9 to 5. And then, but you get 9 to 5, then you got the 401k, you get the benefits and all that.
Yeah.
So from like, let's say kindergarten, right? And you take the traditional path, whenever do you have time to just think to yourself, like, is this something I even want to do?
Yeah.
Like, is this something that's like, bro, I mean, I don't know. When I talked to a buddy of mine and I was considering going to a company like Dell, and I just said, can you just share with me a day in the life? Like, what do you, well, you make money, you make good money. I'm like, okay, but let me just back up a little bit. What's a day in the life? Well, I mean, you got to go there by like 9 o'clock, you had to clock in, there's cubicles, right? But your laptop, you're gonna be taking phone calls all day. And then when you put the orders in, but you got to kind of sell and upsell. And so you're sitting in a cubicle, 9 to 5, got to clock out to go to the bathroom, got to clock out to go to lunch. Is there windows? Not really. Anyway, bro, I said, there's no way in hell.
No way.
You could pay me, I don't care how much money. My soul needs natural light.
Yes.
My soul needs space to just kind of be free. I'd rather be poor, fucking just getting by, but having the freedom to do what I want, than having golden shackles and golden handcuffs to live up to this idea of what society thinks is successful. And there's probably 10 times more homeless people that are happier than people that are like trying to keep up with the Joneses because they got a new car. And so I don't know. I feel like the space to just be free to choose what you want to do that day, wake up in the morning and I want to learn this, has kind of allowed you to be like, man, I kind of have some talents here. You know, maybe I can kind of pursue this path a little bit more to see what I can make of it. Whereas how many people that have gone through the system who had tons of talent that were shunned, that were, no, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer. And it's like, I don't want to be a doctor. He could have been the next Picasso, but because mom and dad were so caught in their ego, they want to try and live through Junior. And Junior then gets stuck in this pigeonhole of what the path is going to be because you're going to be a fucking doctor. I don't care what you say. And now this miserable doctor is now going to my room where I'm waiting to get told I have to take drugs by a miserable man who doesn't want to be there, just doesn't even make eye contact. I just feel like maybe the educational system needs to be revamped. Not even revamped, maybe abolished, right? And let's just start from scratch. And let's just start to create a system that's going to be a little bit more appropriate for people to decide for themselves what they want to pursue. And I think that maybe you're a perfect example of that because you've been able to achieve some things at a very young age that most, and I say that probably 85%, 90% have not been able to achieve. But it's because you've been given that freedom. What is it from your perspective that if you were to create a new structure of a system to help our next generation, what would you think is a key component of that?
I think not even necessarily adding anything to the system. It's about getting rid of the things from the system.
I agree.
Because we don't need more shit. What we need is the more freedom, and freedom is letting go. So the more that we can let go, there's basic principles of human knowledge that we should know. communication is very good. I think that they should emphasize more communication in high schools. Communicating to each other. I mean, any type of violence is lack of communication.
It's the fear of the unknown.
Yes, and it's lack of understanding your emotions, lack of being able to take what's in here and bring it out here. They don't teach that, right? So I think what we need to get rid of, honestly, is all the extra bullshit that no one needs. I mean, we were just talking before we started. I've never had to use foil.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is, to be honest
That's
with
what I'm saying. You learned it. You definitely learned it.
They never called it foil back in our day.
What?
Foil?
Foil?
That,
The method of bouncing numbers out to solve.
that's what I'm saying. They learned it.
No,
It's
we
been in the
They
didn't learn foil?
No, so it started with my.
Wow.
Yeah.
So but still, it's a complicated way of using numbers. That's irrelevant. I mean, you have a very successful business, right? You got plus, minus, divide, percentage. That's it. That's it. That's all you've ever used.
Well, see, now we're stepping into the realm of conspiracy, which is my forte. But like, it's a dumbing down process, right? They don't want people to be that knowledgeable because knowledge is power.
Yeah, 100%.
And so whenever you become too knowledgeable about how systems work and how societies work, social engineering starts to take place. And what they don't want to do is unravel the system they built thousands of years ago to keep the slaves, right? When you have an enslaved mind, but you do it in a way where you don't know you're a slave, you're never going to have a revolution. The sheep will be the sheep because they don't know there's a fence.
Yep.
Right? So, but when you start to understand and be aware that, hey, who built that fence? Why are we kind of confined to this little, we can't go outside the 9 to 5 for some reason? Because they need worker bees. When the worker bees start to be like, you know what, this is bullshit. Their whole system collapses. But see, the thing is that I feel, right, that when we talk about systems collapsing, I think we're due a system collapse from all perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm talking not just educational, but just even monetary, like the whole way that we are indebted to credit and how they charge interest. When you look at monetary policy, it's meant to slowly enslave a society. And that's where they'll have a certain amount of money supply, but there's more debt than there is credit, right? So then over time, everybody slowly becomes indebted to these global banks, right? And so what I think is that we need to create some new fair system where everybody can achieve something based upon their own talents.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, that would be beautiful. But me and you both know America ain't built like that.
No, the world's not built that
The
way.
world's not built like that,
No.
yeah. That would be the ideal living situation. That's like a godlike build. That is
That's
something
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's something that is that's something that's beyond the physical.
It is.
I love it. Yeah. And that would be the ideal place that you made. When they build that, you tell me, because I want to move there.
Well, that's
No,
that's what I'm working on.
Exactly,
And it's not
exactly, that's the
something
goal.
That I these are visions and ideas that I got from another source that I'm just
course.
slowly putting into paper.
Yeah.
But it's a world where I feel it's going to be way more fair to everybody, but also people living in a much better place of peace and of happiness and just pursuing their passions in a way where you can still monetize it, but not screw everybody else around you. Like, the way things are set up is that you've got to think about how money is produced so you can survive. And that survival mechanism is not where people should be living. They should be thriving and just enjoying life, enjoying day to day. And right now, the rat race has got it in a way where I think people are getting a little upset with the whole bullshit too. I think they're just tired of how things are functioning. And they're starting to second guess themselves. And it started with COVID. It started when people took a break for a little bit. And for me, I took it as a vacation. I'm like, fuck, okay, well, I don't feel guilty for not wanting to work. I want to work, and people that are not aware, people that were stuck in the rat race, I was surprised as to hearing how many people committed suicide during COVID.
A lot.
And I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't watch TV, so I don't hear
Yeah.
the constant
I don't watch
propaganda
TV
of
either.
fear.
But I had heard somebody say that the percentage was really high, and I had looked it up at the time, and it was really high. And that was like in the middle of COVID. That wasn't even at the end of it.
Wow.
So the percentage was like astonishing. I don't exactly remember the number, but I would imagine now it would be pretty terrifying.
Well, I think so. Society, I feel, needs to go to rehab. I think it's gone sideways. And looking at the educational system, they're pushing some weird things like critical race theory right now. And when I looked at CRT and how they're trying to push it to our younger generation, it's very what's the word? Short-sighted. That a black person is deserved reparations. A white person has been the slave master and they need to pay reparations. But it's in a generation where none of them have ever been a slave. None of them have ever been mean to people. Now, there's going to be assholes in every
100%.
generation, every color. But that's assholes versus nice people. But the way they're tying it to color, I feel, is just a little bit disjointed. Do you see your generation, at least in your age group, trying to change that, or are they just swallowing it with like as if it's true?
It's sad because I live in a generation that will only help the homeless if they can film it and put it on TikTok.
That's beautiful.
So
isn't that true though?
It's very true. So it's hard to speak proudly, but the thing is that we're very intelligent, and that's the sad part. It's like seeing a lot of potential in somebody that's on drugs. It's like, man, I see the potential in you. Because if we want something to blow up like that, it'll be everywhere. Everywhere. We're just blowing up the wrong things. And I think in our generation, when it comes to the whole racial dilemma, I think if we can come out and go, because racism exists. And racism exists in all races. People think it's only white people. Hell no.
No.
I've met Mexicans that are racist. I've met black people that are racist. I've met Korean people that are racist. I've met all types of people that are extremely racist.
It's based on ignorance.
Flat 100%. 100%. But I think the good fight is to fight racism and fight for equality. That's beautiful. I'm down for that. But I think going around and me and my mom were just talking about this. It's like, I can be proud of something and fight for something and fight to destroy racism. But I can't sit here and try to be like, well, this is a bunch of pain I've gone through, speaking about other things that, people from Mexico are going through trying to get over here. So I recently got in I wouldn't say an argument, but a conversation with one of my friends, and she's African American. And she said, I feel, and this is exact words, this is her exact words. She said, I feel hurt because of what, the slavery that took place. Whenever because she was talking about her family and the slavery that her family went through. And I said, okay. I said, wait, what do you mean by you feel like it's sickening? Like you don't, like it's just a gross thought? She's like, no, I feel hurt by it. I said, why do you feel hurt by it? And she's like, well, that's my family. I said, oh, I can understand that. And she's like, I feel attacked. I said, well, you shouldn't, because you weren't attacked. Your ancestors were attacked. Feel hurt for them. But a lot of times in our culture, we're adopting the trauma that has been, for whatever reason.
The victim mentality.
For whatever reason. But you can't do that because you're not hurting anybody but yourself. I could sit here easily and go, well, when I was growing up, right, this and this happened. No. Or I could easily sit here and go, you know how many prejudiced people I meet all the time. They don't bother me any. Whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't care, because if I start caring, right, I'm just giving power to the thing. Now I understand making awareness of what's happened years
but trying to make positive change come about.
Going, this is what's happened in the past. How can we move forward to not making it happen?
That's like the kid that got bullied in high school, and then the rest of his life is bitter and angry because he got bullied in high school.
Exactly.
That was high school, bro. Let it go. And he was personally affected. Mm-hmm. But what good is that doing by him just reminiscing about the fact that he was bullied in high school Move the fuck
Yeah.
on.
See,
now, listen, I'm not trying to pity-patty on slavery.
No, of course. Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
Okay, that had its place, and I'm not trying to say that it was a small. It's
But
a
we
huge
can't do
thing.
anything about it.
But also accountability.
As far as what happened.
Accountability is a good fucking question. It was their own people that sold them to other nations. Like, why did they never look in the mirror and be like, your own people did that to you? Where did the supply chain start, bro? It was your own fucking people. So, like, why is it that they're always just, and I'm talking in general, not just black folk.
No.
Anybody with a victim mentality.
Yeah.
You always want to start to find the enemy. Look, there's always going to be an enemy. There's always going to be an asshole. I don't care what race you are, what color you are. We need to figure out how to divide the good from the bad and just have a definition that's fair for everybody. But what's happening right now is that definition is so broad that now the white man is the bad guy, and we need to just kind of chastise him and put him in his place. But man, that's not the way countries should operate. That's the way you divide and conquer somebody. So that CRT for me is a mechanism of the elites to destroy this country from the inside, to get people to hate each other. So when you have an 8-year-old little girl talking to an 8-year-old black girl, talking to an 8-year-old white girl, and then the 8-year-old girl is like, your grandma treated my grandpa bad, right? That should not be a conversation to take place that's going to be healing and productive for the future. Now, from a very young age, they're thinking that they need to have some hatred towards that person because of his skin color. Like, we shouldn't even have that discussion. I don't know if that's coming across in the right way, but for me, from a big picture standpoint, why can't they just talk about being friends and having how fun it is to play on the merry-go-round? Or let's just keep it simple. What does an 8-year-old little girl want to talk about? Dolls or whatever.
Yeah.
Let them talk about that. But you're pushing this agenda of CRT, critical race. Critical race theory is such bullshit, dude. And anybody that calls it something that we need to talk about, they're fucking idiots. Because they're creating so much trauma in this country that does not need to be here. We need to have healing discussions, and we need to have conversations, but not regurgitating. That's like, let me give this analogy. I like analogies. That's like when I was 6 years old, my mom got after me, and I felt she hit me too much, and I felt like that was something she shouldn't have done. And then I'm 28 years old, and I regurgitate the fact that, Mom, remember the time when I was 5 years old, and you hit me a lot, and it hit me, and then you should say sorry. And she's like, I said sorry when you were 5. No, you should say sorry again, Mom, because I felt like it really hurt my feelings. And it kind of, remember that bruise I had on my hip? Well, that bruise was there at least 6 months. 6 months, Mom. And that's that bullshit pussy mentality of people that just get over it. I know it's bullshit. I know it's bad.
Yeah.
Can we just put that in the past and let's move on?
Yeah.
That's like the girlfriend that's like, remember that last year you forgot my birthday? And like, bro, I'm just trying to get along.
And I think also, and the point that you're trying to get at, which I know what we're trying to get at and agree with, is that the sooner we can put everything bad in the past, the sooner we can find the solution.
We can start growing together.
Exactly. Because, we're just reliving the trauma. We're reliving the cycle of this happened, this happened. It's like bickering almost.
Yeah.
It's going back and forth. And I understand this happened. I understand racism is very much real and alive. Yeah. Understanding that, all kinds of races have been enslaved to some degree. All types of people have been enslaved to some degree. The more that we can understand that these things happened, and they're horrible things that have happened. But we understand it's basic thing. That's what I'm saying. It's lack of communication. It's basic things you learn in therapy. You understand the problem, you take it in, you reanalyze it, and you go, okay, I know what happened. Now we work through it. Life is a series of solving. Is about that. I was gonna say solving problems. It's not. It's just solving. There's all different types of things. Solving puzzles. There's no problems. There's just solving, right? Solving things. And we're on this cycle. We've been on the cycle for years.
Yeah.
Of just it's just this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, we know that. What are you gonna do to fix it?
But let's be honest. Some people will find a problem to every solution.
Yep. No, you're right. That's what I'm saying. And that's where I talk about my generation. It's sad because we do that all the time. I'm not going to say I don't do that shit. But the generation I am a part of, they do that. Because we need something to bitch about. life can't be good always.
Well, and it's, you know what? A lot of it is because if they feel like certain people don't have problems, and yet they're still succeeding or at least being happy, then it minimizes their own sense of lack of success or lack of happiness, that they're the problem. So if they can paint the picture that everybody has the same problems, this whole world's so screwed up, and it's because of this whole world that's created this society that doesn't really care about anybody else, that perspective and those goggles are so jacked up that anytime somebody's like, actually, I think the world's kind of good right now, and you're like, how do you say that? It's so terrible. Like, their goggles are so jacked up that all they can see is negative and turmoil. Whenever you've got something that's actually positive and enlightening, hey, what about this? They're going to find an issue with it because it makes them comfortable with themselves and what they haven't been able to achieve in life, you know? And don't take it personal. I mean, if this is hurting you a little bit, take life notes. Like, yeah, maybe it's me that's the issue and not society. Because think about it. Every societal issue comes from an individual. And it's the collective, collectively speaking, them together with that same mindset create societal issues. From an individual basis, if we all said, why don't we just think better? Why don't we believe better for the future?
Yeah.
Why don't we have healthier conversations and put the past behind us?
And healthier studies.
Yeah.
You know, like we're at this rate, we're doomed. At this rate, it's inevitable that society is going to destroy itself. So if we slow
I'm not sold
down,
on that yet.
But if we slow down, time stops. We know that from meditation. Time doesn't exist, right? We don't exist. We're just we're spiritual beings.
We're in the present.
Experiencing, a
Does
human
the future
experience.
even exist? Does the past even exist?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
There's only now.
There's only now, right? Today's a gift. That's why they call it a present. So the more that we can slow down and go, okay, let's calm down. Let's assess everything, and whatever it might be, whether it's work or racism, social issues, slowing down is the best bet, and being able to communicate and enjoy ourselves. We have been robbed as a society. This is what I wanted to say too. We've been robbed as a society to feel good.
Yeah, we have. They make you feel guilty for feeling good.
Make you feel guilty for feeling good, or you have to pay to feel good. You have to pay to feel good.
They want that quick fix.
Because when you pay to go to a theme park, you're allowed to feel good. I feel great because I paid to get in here, right? So or when you go watch a movie, no, I'm going to enjoy myself because I paid to get in here. But your entertainment leaves when you leave the theater.
Yeah.
Your entertainment leaves when you go home. But there's no reason it should. There's no reason. I feel like emotionally we could be a lot different.
But see, and this is where, when we talk about social engineering and what's happened in America, they've put so much programming into mainstream media, into the music, into social media, into our educationals. Every system has programmed us to want a quick fix and to think short term.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So everybody just thinks for the weekend, like, hey, well, what are you doing Saturday?
Yeah.
What are you doing Sunday?
Can't wait for Friday.
So by the time paycheck comes through on Friday, it's already done by Monday. Like, shit,
Yeah, it's
I'm
gone.
already having to pay for my... That's also through banking engineering. But I think they have put us in a mindset where nobody thinks 50 years in advance. Nobody thinks even 20 years in advance. And sometimes we have a smart man or girl come up through high school that's like, what am I going to do in 5 years, right? I want to get this kind of degree. And that's maybe the extent of it. But it's very few that say, what am I going to do in 50 years? What do I want to accomplish? What type of legacy am I going to leave for my kids? And it's been, I go back to education, nobody ever talked about legacy in school. Nobody ever talked about legacy in colleges, universities. Every once in a while you'll get a professor that like, he just thinks differently and he's stuck in your head. But for the most part, it was like they wanted you to be a worker bee. They wanted you to be that person that's going to be a cog in the system to make sure the system doesn't break. But I think over time, the consciousness of humanity is starting to say, you know what, screw this whole system. I don't think I want it. the way it is because I'm not exactly happy. I've got the wife and 2 kids, but I'm chasing this golden like dream of getting more money, but we barely even see each other. I barely see the kids for like an hour before they go to bed, right? Is that the way we want to live long term? I mean, sometimes they don't even know their kids' names after 20 years of living a career where they're traveling over the time. So there's got to be a changed society that's going to be a better improvement for what we see for the future. Have discussions about how does the future going to be resembled in America? Like, are we going to have more culture, more loving kindness for other people and other neighbors? And I think when we look at family, that's the key. And we go back to relationships. When you have healthy relationships, you'll have healthy families. When you have healthy families, you've got a healthy community. When you have a healthy community, you have a healthy city, right? And so that then starts from the ground up. You have to start from the small. But if you look at what's happening in our social engineering, they're pitting the man against the woman. There's this gender role confusion, and it's been pushed through Hollywood, through media, through music. And I don't know if people will see this. I've seen it for years.
Yeah.
They're making men look like a bunch of idiots. Meanwhile, the women are the heroes, which I mean, it's great. I'm not going to push against it, by all means. But why do they have so much effort through commercials and through music to make men look like a bunch of doofuses? Like they just don't know what they're talking about. What are you experiencing in relationships in your generation? Are they coming together? Is it healthy? Does it?
I've been very blessed to get the very few people in the world that are extremely dynamic and diverse, and they're the friends that I always wanted. And they are very smart, very close. The communication in every single person I know is amazing. Even the people that they don't like have good communication. And they're all extremely intelligent. They're people that make great money and love life, purely love life. Like they wake up and they're like, I'm excited. That's really rare to find, especially in kids my age. My friend group is anywhere from 20 to 25. Of people I hang around with on the daily, right? They're really close. They know stuff about me that nobody knows type stuff. And it's hard to find that. It's really hard to find that. And these are people that I've seen sit down, like, especially about race. I've seen, one of my friends who is extremely, white. White. And one of my friends that's black, and they sit down and have a beautiful conversation about race wars and how people are fighting each other. And both evenly go, that's really interesting. That's crazy. Well, I'm glad that we're not that. Like, that's amazing,
It's achievable.
Yeah, it's achievable. It's totally doable. It's completely doable. I think, or I'm with a friend group that can jokingly say jokes about each other's race. I have
friends like that all the time.
I have white friends that'll tell me Mexican jokes that are
me too.
hilarious.
Yeah, me
They're
too.
good, and they're funny, and I can say white jokes to them, and that's healthy. It's almost like, heaven forbid, if anything were to ever happen to me in some sort of funny accident, right? And I'm not dead, but something happens, right? Heaven forbid. I want people to joke about it. Because if you don't, it's stiff air. So I would prefer somebody make fun of me or something, because that's how you loosen things up. It's like breaking the ice. They're very fair, and I like that because fair people are hard to find. That can sit down and go, I'm right and I'm wrong. I like doing that now. I love being wrong, because when you're wrong, you're learning, and when you're right, well, who doesn't like being right? But they're very, very attentive people as well, which is another thing that's very hard to find. I made a decision, though, because I didn't have friends like that. I had the complete opposite. And I woke up one day and I was like, I'm tired of being sad all the time. I'm tired of not liking the people I'm around, so I just won't do it anymore. There's an old story that I like telling people, and it's a story that I think it was Jim Rohn says. And he said that this man used to drive this truck, and the truck was always breaking down, and it was always dying on him, and he was always trying to, you know, this truck, he would always try to get it going, and it wouldn't work. Anyways, one day his wife came home. He had beaten in the tires, and he broke all the windows. He put like water in the gas tank. He shot the engine, like literally shot it with like a 12 gauge and was pushing it into the river. And she was like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I drove this piece of shit for the last time, and no one else will." And, you know, one day he was walking down the street, and he's doing his thing, and he's always wore the same clothes for years. She came home, and he said, he was just burning all of his clothes. Just burning them. And this time he was happy. And she was like, "What are you doing? You're burning all your clothes." He said, "I wore these pieces of shit for the last time, and no one else will." And it's that idea of one day you're going to wake up and you're going to go, never again. Never again. And so now I've had a really beautiful relationship with my friends. My friends know that I'm Arabic. So they just one day were like, "Hey, I made you Arabic food, come over." And I was like, "Oh, what are we doing?" You know, like, no. They specifically made me food. My friend Michael called me the other day. He was coming over. He's like, "Hey, I'm coming over to your house right now. What do you want to eat?" And I was like, "Oh, just this. I'll get you back." He's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Just people like that are hard to find. So I personally can't sit here and talk about people that are negative or how I'm around people like that, because I refuse to be around it.
So clarify, you're what percentage Arabic?
I'm about. What percentage are we?
I don't know. Gabby knows the exact number.
We're high enough percentage to get like a grant. So I know that. So what would that be? Above 15, right?
Yeah, it's pretty high.
40% or.
I know we're near we're like 30 to 40% Arabic. That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
I mean, I like to think it's cool too because of the like spiritual background.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as relationships go, I like the relationships I've built with my friends, and I like the relationships I've built, even in intimate relationships. You know, my past couple relationships have been very, very good. And I think too, like for a long time I thought, oh, well, my last relationships ended, so they weren't good. No, that's not the case. They ended because it was time to end.
It was a season.
Yeah, it was a season. But they were good. They were very good.
That's good. I'm just trying to see, like, because I see some of the content coming out, whether it be social media or just some of the shows, because I don't follow a lot of content on mainstream. It just seems a little bit misdirected when it comes to love. And I feel there's more focus on sex
100%.
than it is about connection, right? Just about chemistry, about things that people should be thinking about if they're looking for longevity. And I don't go, focus or trying to figure out what's happening in that generation. But my assumption is that if that's what they're seeing and that's what these people are understanding and believing, that's kind of jacked up, and that maybe it's a little difficult for people to come together and actually have something healthy. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I just got in an argument recently with this girl that was trying to hit on me because, she comes right off the bat being super...
Aggressive?
No, not aggressive. Super, just super sensual. And I don't care. I don't care. And we talked for like 3 hours. And there wasn't one time I was waiting. I was like, are you going to say anything interesting? Like, are you going to actually tell me something that's like, wow, let's that's an interesting conversation. That's somebody that I can talk to every day. That's somebody that I can actually converse with. Or there wasn't a funny moment. It was like...
Define for me sensual. I'm trying to figure out...
She was just being extremely sexual, extremely like open, extremely like flirty. I don't like that.
Oh, that's insecurity.
I want to date my best friend. That's how it is for me. And you're completely right. You know, we're in a really bad era when it comes to being sexual, because that's the only way you get accepted, right? That's the only way. That's the only what they think.
That's what they think y'all want to hear, boys or men or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they are playing out that role because that's what they've been. I mean, think about it. And when you look at Disney and how they've been able to subliminally put into these different sexual messages into these movies, since the day they were born almost, it's been this hyper sexualized environment. And a man doesn't want that. Like, maybe a shallow man, maybe the man doesn't really know what the hell he wants anyways, but they put so much emphasis on the sexual part. Attraction is always necessary, don't get me wrong.
There's all types of attraction.
But see, you can't, that's such a simple-minded approach to relationships. There's got to be chemistry, there's got to be connection, there's got to be a similar psychological component to where I can't be like PhD here and then she's talking about like freaking Britney Spears. Like there's a disconnect where you're like, you're boring the shit out of me. I'm sorry, I can't do this. So it's the idea that we need to bring back into content. I'm talking music, media, the idea of what true love is about. Or at least introduce the idea, because I feel like we've gotten kind of away from that. And now we see the effects, because you're kind of proving what I was just saying, how we were in the wrong direction when it comes to relationships. And I think the young generation, I mean, I'm glad I was born in the 70s, but because these kids nowadays that are, 74 to be exact.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 70.
No.
74, that's fine.
No. So, but damn, I look good for my age.
Yeah, you do look good for 74. I didn't know you were born in 74.
Yeah, I'm 48 right now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Joe, you do look good, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, well, the grays kind of give me away.
Yeah, just a little bit.
If I had to let the hair shine, I'd be like probably a little fucking peach fuzz going on.
That inspires you to think, because you're not thinking basis on like, you know, the bullshit that we just put through for the serotonin that, you know, the industry puts through. Now you're actually thinking, and I want to be able to do that to people. I want people to hear a record, whether it be happy, sad, fast, slow, sexual, whatever the feeling is, to be able to hear it and think. And you do that through lyrics.
Yeah.
You do that purely through lyrics. There's tons of times I'm listening to J. Cole albums where, you know, J. Cole is a crazy lyricist. And every time I hear his stuff, I always have some sort of realization. Every single time.
And have more love songs. Love songs are kind of like a thing of the past, it seems like.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Like, are you talking like Marvin Gaye style?
Just old school, just down and dirty, just nice vibes, the beats there. But melodies really brings you in, though. That melodies tying in with their lyrics, it takes you somewhere. You know, there's not that element of, you hear it and it's gone the next day. You kind of don't remember the lyrics were. There's certain songs that you like remember everything that was told in that lyric, more so than the song because of the story that was behind it. So yeah, I think what you're saying is painting the picture for people in a way that helps them to think about love in a way where it's like, I could have love.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. We don't have that much anymore. And it would be nice to be able to sit there and listen to, you know, listen to a song that's promoting that.
I think you're right that the communication part, spreading the right message is going to be huge, and you're moving in the right direction when it comes to that. So what do you have in the next near future that you want to put out there? What are you looking to, any events you want to put together? Maybe you thought about doing concerts at all, or
I really want to start speaking, like doing speaking on the mind. Right now, as far as music goes, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do that, so I'm not even thinking about planning anything. I'm just creating. Like I've lately, you know, I've gotten back to making 5-6 demos a day, just cause I can, you know. So right now, as far as music goes, it's just enjoying it. I'll probably definitely be doing stuff with it in the next like couple months, but as of right now, I have so much knowledge about improving your life, going from one place to the other. That it's a sin for me to not share it. It's actually horrifying.
Maybe start a podcast and just get that rolling.
I should. I want to do in-person things too. I want to try to find stuff that's going on and be able to speak, especially speak to the youth.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them want better, but they don't think they deserve it.
Well, I want to put some events together, and hopefully we can go back to what we did back in
I would love to
Austin
do that. Yeah.
a couple years back. But let's do that again. This has been fun for me.
Oh, this is so much fun. Yeah.
Definitely want to do it again.
Heck yeah.
Anything you want to any contact information you want to put out there?
I mean,
How do we find?
yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Christian DeLamb. Christian D-A Lamb.
D-A
D-A Lamb.
L-A-M-B?
L-A-M-B, yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, boss.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time. And
Yes.
then until next time, peace out.